It's 7 o'clock, and that means time to start. We have a wall of people with no cameras, which Deon despises. He was just telling me privately.
I didn't say I despise it. I just don't switch them on. That's all.
Especially when one of our attendees has this purple hair thing going on, which is fantastic.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and that was not
Okay.
being shared in the darkness. Now, some people, like Janet Dupree's, don't have a camera, and then others, I think, have bandwidth issues that make the camera screw up their connection and everything. So I'm just going to begin by vamping for a few minutes so that when you start, the latecomers don't get disconvenienced too much, because that generally happens. But anyway, I like to hear the sound of my own voice as much as any of us. So welcome, those of you who are here, to the fifth weekly international Innnotivity networking think tanks. Again, as always, we have an eclectic bunch of people in the audience, which we love, and we also have a very eclectic guest. It's going to be talking about abundance. And Deon Groenewald is a coach extraordinaire, is a coach of coaches, teacher of coaches. He taught me as a coach, and despite that, he still is great. So basically, Deon has developed a couple of his own training modalities. He's developed his own programs around existing ones, but he's also developed a couple of new ones that don't really exist much in the world at the moment. And we also working together on the creativity coaching certification, which I deliver, and Deon helps certify and guide. So anybody out there that one day ends up in the creativity coach certification program would end up working with Deon a little bit. But what Deon has also done very recently is start a program around abundance, and it's an abundance coaching certification program, but it always, as always, it deals with the issue of abundance in great and unusual detail. So I want to just start, before we get into Deon, just for a couple minutes, to ask you guys where it is in your life that you feel you have abundance, and you just type that into the chat. Like, where in your life do you have abundance? Where is it something that's happening for you?
I asked the same question once, Michael, and someone typed in, wait.
Wait? Like, wait.
Body weight. Which is obviously not the...
Okay, we got friends, freedom, time to be outside, ideas. Janet Dupree's, that's definitely true. All right, and then I guess the other flip side, we wanted, where are you lacking a feeling of abundance in your life? Or one could say, where do you have a feeling of lacking abundance? You know?
I like the one about ideas, by the way, Janet.
Janet Dupree's is always full of good things to say.
That's very nice.
Too many ideas.
And choice, nice.
Wealth, Chris Dykes. So Chris, you have a lack of abundance in wealth. Not just that you don't have abundance, but you feel the lack of it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, this COVID thing has impacted my wealth plan. So new ideas being implemented, but at the moment, it's not happening. It needs to happen more.
Got you. Well, as they say, the best laid plans of mice and men. Cool. And then the last question I want to ask you before I just hand over to Deon is, say, where in your life would you like to have? Doesn't have to necessarily be the same place that it's missing, right? Where would you really like to have an experience of abundance the most? You might find after you answer this question that later you'll realize that wasn't the answer you really have. Really great projects, good relationships, travel and family time.
A lot of relationship stuff coming up.
Yeah, not much money stuff, huh? Just Chris and
Choices.
And me and Chris.
Nice.
Okay. So
I
lots
really
about
like that
choice
one.
and freedom. Not just Chris, Janet Dupree's. Okay. Hey, so look, it's not a topic that we've dealt with yet on the think tanks. And I have heard a lot from Deon about abundance. I'm a certified abundance coach because of Deon. But what I haven't heard a lot from Deon yet is how abundance and creativity connect. And that's what I'm really excited about. So let's get into it. It's what, 5 past already, and people come later than this, then they missed what they missed. So well, let me just say it this way. Without any further ado, Mr. Deon Groenewald.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for calling me Groenewald and not Greenwood, as you did earlier on the Facebook platform today. Literally green forest. What some kind of strange name you gave me. Anyway, guys, thanks for this opportunity. It's great. And I don't see any faces on you except Michael's that I recognize. I do recognize purple hair. I have seen that before. Not specifically on Corin's head, because I haven't met her before. So from me, hello and thank you. Just in short, maybe I should introduce myself. My name is Deon, and my surname is Groenewald. I'm a young 57-year-old average guy, married now for 36 years to the same wife and not applying duct tape or rope. And beautiful daughters. I'm a grandfather, and life is just, to me, a very beautiful, authentic journey full of love and joy and happiness, health and wealth and all the good things in life. So that's me in a nutshell. Quick and simple. So let's talk about abundance quickly. So I just want to confirm, Michael, I've got about 20 minutes to talk about the topic, and then we're going to throw it open for questions and see how we can unpack it even further and give you guys a little bit of a challenge. So the moment we talk about abundance, there's a principle that I'm just going to touch on tonight, and this is a concept that I haven't really unpacked in any of the training. So I thought, this being a mastermind group, let's take a complex principle around abundance and see if we can unpack that one tonight. So the principle is based on a swear word when we use the terminology abundance. So in other words, if I think of abundance and I want to be abundant, and there's certain words I use, I will actually call those words a swear word. And the biggest swear word is the word try. Try. The moment the word try comes into the abundant concept, then yeah, try. Someone just typed in T-R-Y. I'm trying. The moment that word comes into the same concept, we are diluting and we are messing up our abundant mindsets. So let me just explain that for you guys quickly. And I want to do it very practical. So I've got a pen in my hand, and I trust you guys can see this pen, right? So Michael, do me a favor. Ask me to take the cap off. Ask me to take the cap off. You got to put your sound on.
Take the cap off.
All right. Now there's 3 options here. Option 1, I can do it successfully. Option 2, I'm not doing it at all. Option 3 is when we use the word try. So what I'm doing is I'm applying effort, I'm doing something, there's energy being burnt, but I am not getting it right. So what we very often do is we say, I'm trying. So think about love, abundance in love. I'm not in a relationship, I'm trying to get into a relationship. Think about abundance, joy. I'm not feeling happy right now or joyful, I'm trying to be more happier. Think about health. I'm not really healthy right now, Deon, but I'm trying to, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm trying not to eat so much. Think about wealth. I haven't really got a lot of wealth in my life at the moment, but I'm really trying hard to expand that. You've heard people say these words, most probably some of you guys have uttered them yourselves. So here's the principle I want you to understand behind the word I am trying. On a subconscious level, call it the subconscious, call it the heart brain, call it your spiritual mind, call it the universe talking back to you. I don't care which part you're going to talk to, but there's a secondary level of conversation that's coming in the moment we use the word try. And the second level of conversation is the following. I am trying, therefore I am giving myself permission not to succeed. Ooh, I hope you guys got that one. The moment I use the word I am trying, on a subconscious level, I am giving myself permission to fail. I am opening up the door to potentially not succeed in that which I need to accomplish, that which I need to gain, that which I need to do. The moment I say the word trying, I'm giving my subconscious, my deeper brain, permission not to do. I am technically, to a certain degree, not fully, but to a certain degree, I'm actually setting myself up for a potential failure with permission. Now, the risk of that, the moment something comes on my path, I very easily stumble. So let me just explain how that works, because if you understand how the brain works, then this becomes extremely interesting. Inside your neural network, there's a section in the brain called the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system is responsible for arousal. Now, the moment I talk about arousal, basically what it means is the brain looks for more proof and confirmation of a fact. So think about the last time you bought a motor vehicle, and within the first 2 weeks after you got the motor vehicle, do you remember how many other vehicles you saw on the road? All of a sudden, you're seeing the same type of motor vehicle on the road. So what happened? Inside your neural network, your reticular activating system is now aroused to the decision you've made of buying a motor vehicle and is looking for more proof and confirmation of. So you really start noticing more of the same fact. So the moment I use the word I'm trying to, on a subconscious level, I'm giving my brain permission to fail. But what I'm doing to my reticular activating system is I'm allowing it to see opportunities why I won't succeed. Does that make sense? I am setting myself up with a permissive process of failure. And even if I'm not failing yet, and I'm still in the process, in the motion of getting to the final achievement, if my reticular activating system is focused on potential failures and it starts seeing some of these failures, it's very easy for that information to shift something in my belief system. And before I succeed, my brain says I'm failing. And then the moment that happens, it starts withdrawing. It starts giving up. It starts saying, well, this ain't working for me. I might as well stop now. Why throw good time into this project? Why throw good money into this project? Why throw my energy, my emotions, my joy, whatever the case may be? Why invest it into this project? Because it's not succeeding. So it's a preemptive giving up in a process of potential achievement. So the question is, what's this got to do with creativity? Well, quite easily. Quite easy. You see, the opposite of trying is doing, is having courage, applying courage, tenacity, and continuously just sticking to it. Just continue doing it. So if someone says, Deon, open this pen, I'm doing one of the following things. I'm opening it, or I'm not opening it. I want you guys just to realize something. The word trying is a man-made word. It's a word that has come into our language pattern to give people politically correct permission to fail. And failure in itself is a man-made concept. A child is not born with an understanding of the principle of failure. If they were born with that principle and that understanding, they would try and walk a few times, fall a few times, realize they can't walk and stop trying. Children don't understand the concept of failure. They just keep altering their behavior until they succeed. So here's the principle I want you to understand. The word trying and the word failure is man-made words that needs to be removed from an abundance mindsets dictionary. You are either not doing it or you are doing it. The opposite of trying is doing. It's actually doing it. I'm still busy doing it. If I apply discipline, courage, tenacity, eventually success happens. Now, the moment my brain goes, I am doing it, and there's a conviction behind the word, a total conviction behind the word. What happens with again, I'm back with the reticular activating system. The moment I have conviction, I am doing this, that arousal now goes into my brain, activates my reticular activating system, and the reticular activating system starts looking for more confirmation and opportunities. The moment I say I am doing this, even if I'm still in the process, the conviction of the decision of the will allows the brain to go into an opportunity mode. Now, the moment we go into opportunity mode, what kicks in? One of the things that kicks in is creativity. All of a sudden, we start thinking differently. We start finding solutions that we didn't think of earlier. And at the moment, with lockdown around the world, it's been one of the best platforms to prove this theory. Because you guys know a lot of people that's obviously been in lockdown. And there's literally, in my book, two groups. The one group said, lockdown is here. I can't do a job anymore. I'm going to try and come up with a different solution. It's 6 months later, and they're still trying. Then there's a second group. Lockdown is here. I am going to come up with a different solution. And most of the people that said that at the beginning of lockdown, what happened? They became extremely creative in a variety of alternative behaviors and solutions. See the difference? So the question is, and here's my challenge. You guys ready for a challenge? What have you been trying to achieve? Not for the last couple of months. What have you been trying to achieve for the last 10 years of your life? Now, I ask this question to a lot of groups where I talk. And what I find shocking is close to about 80% of people that I ask this question to has something that they have been trying to achieve for the last 10 or 20 years. But one of the truths in that statement is that they've also given up. Because somewhere along the line, something happened and derailed them. But there's a simplistic concept we need to understand behind this. Our past does not define our present. You are not living in your past. Your past can influence your present, but it can only influence your present for the better if you use your past purely as a feedback platform. In other words, everything that's happened from the day that I remember anything right up until today has been a creative, magnificent, beautiful learning curve. And all information that I have collected gives me an opportunity in the present to have eyes on my future, decide and predetermine what my future is going to look like, and act accordingly today, but not trying. Act. The word act is a verb. I do, I behave, I act. I do something that is a tangible action. There's a behavior that manifests consistently based on my past. I learn from it. I look at what I've done in the past. Some of the things I would replicate because it worked well, but some of the things didn't give me the outcomes I was looking for. Listen to my wordings. I'm not saying I failed in the past. I am saying some of the outcomes that I had in the past was not the outcomes I was hoping for. So what is the learning curve? Well, whatever I've done in the past, I need to do differently today and in my future. Because if I do it the same way, I am technically insane. Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So if I've done something in the past, I had a goal or a vision or a dream 10, 20 years ago, I've tried to make it a success. Something negative happened. I didn't get the outcome I was looking for. Because I had the word try in my language pattern, it means I have now had an obstacle, which means I have failed. That's usually when we stop, we withdraw, we don't put in the energy and the effort anymore, and we become stagnant in that goal, in that challenge. The moment we flip the switch and we say the word try does not exist, there is only doing, there's only action, there's only behavior, there's only altering what I've done in the past, and I'm constantly in motion of achievement, then something flicks inside of the brain, something changes. If you're looking for abundance in any area of your life, that's a mindset you have to pull into your abundance mindset. Are you looking for more abundance in love? The rule applies. If your heart was broken 20 years ago, and we know this, people that have their hearts broken in the past are fearful to enter into new relationships. Well, you learned from the past. If you don't get out, if you don't socialize, if you don't mix with people, you're not giving yourself, and again I'm using the words, the opportunity to meet the right people, to meet a possible person to love, to meet a possible person to love you. If you want more joy in your life, if your joy was stolen at some stage, if you're not going to look for opportunities where you can find more joy and different joy, you've failed yourself because you're trying to find more joy. Trying doesn't work. I want to give you guys a quick practical. I'm going as fast as I can. Michael, 2 minutes more if you don't mind. I want you guys to understand something. Just very briefly. A few years ago, I had a stroke. I worked hard. I had a chemical-induced stroke. I had a virus in my body. All kinds of things happened. Doctor gave me medicine for the virus, and I had a highly allergic chemical response to the medicines the doctor gave me. And the cause of that was a stroke. And in this time frame, they also diagnosed me with some kind of a growth inside of my brain. What the combination of these two has done, it's completely suppressed my dopamine and serotonin production in my brain. Now, look at me. Do I look like someone that lacks dopamine and serotonin? I can promise you absolutely not. But what happened immediately after this event was I had no dopamine or serotonin really being produced in my body. And I was like, just sleeping the whole day. What I clicked was I had no abundance of joy in my life, and I needed joy. I love joy. I love love, I love joy, I love health, and I love wealth. So what did I do? I actively, with massive action and intent, started looking for opportunities where I can find more joy. And here's the craziest, most beautiful thing. As I started looking, my brain started getting extremely creative, and I just found so many places in life where we can find more joy. You know what happens to your brain when you experience more joy? Your brain starts producing dopamine and serotonin. Your brain starts producing. I'm on no medication for it. And I don't really, I'm one of these guys, I try and stay away from medication. I might drink a Disprin every now and then. The principle that I'm explaining to you guys is not a theory that was plucked out of the sky. This is a practical application that I've utilized in my own life in various areas, and it really works. It is a mindset. It's an internal attitude. Abundance is not a thing that you gain. Abundance is a mindset. It's an attitude. And that mindset and that attitude can be applied to any and every area of your life. So again, I'm going to ask you, Go back 10, 20 years ago. What was that dream? What was that goal? What was that achievement? What did you visualize yourself to be like today, 10, 20 years ago? Where something happened and you took a sidetrack. Ask yourself one simple question. If I knew I will succeed, how will I act differently? The moment we start asking that question, we allow opportunity and creativity to start coming in, and we start going into an abundance mindset. What can I do differently? Not what can I do differently, what can I do differently? So the focus is on the word do, which means once you come up with the answer, start doing and notice what happens.
So the question is, what is it that, phrase the question perfectly, because I'm going to send people off into rooms of 3 and 4 for a few minutes to answer
what
this.
have you given up on?
What have you
given up on? What have you given up on? That if you apply an abundance mindset and allow creativity and opportunity thought pattern to come in, what can you achieve?
Fantastic. So that is the question. And I'm going to send you into the rooms and see you back in 10 minutes. We're still waiting. Still a few people lost in space.
We're getting used to that scenario now, aren't we, Michael?
Yeah, madame. So Deon, madame, is he's very excited about your skill at typing what he says into the chat. He's.
I was I must be honest, I was impressed. You know, when I do talks like these, and I'm on these type of platforms literally every single day, and I need to focus on the screen and on the responses of the people. To then read the chats at the same time, I find very disturbing. So how you were focusing on what I was saying and typing, I found that you know, wonderful. I love it. I love that type of multi-action brain function, if I can use that term.
Thank you, Deon. I find sometimes it's just useful to put down the thoughts of what is going through. So as I'm listening, if I type it down, I guess sometimes the network can also break. So some people are not hearing correctly. So if they can read it in the chat, then they'll be like, oh, okay, that's what he said and stuff like that. So I do not just for my benefit, but for the benefit of others as well.
I love it. I think I'm going to hire you. Come on my training courses. I'll hire you. We'll do a barter deal, and while I teach, you can just type, and then at least I can read afterwards what I spoke about.
You know what the best part about that is? I get a commission on the barter deal. That means I get both of your services without doing anything.
So Deon, I was halfway through answering your question about my bookshelf when I got tossed in the breakout room. So I just wanted to show off there. The bottom shelf is all books that I have actually written. And the third from the middle shelf there is books that I've either worked on, produced, or have a contribution in. And the rest of them are books that I either want to read or have read. I've got bookshelves all over the house. So
I told you earlier, Shell, clearly you love books, and just for that fact, I love you. I'm a big bookworm. I believe in the power and what it does to the brain. I love, and there's nothing like the smell of a good book. You know, we live in this amazing world where we can Google everything, but a tangible book and the smell of it, lying in a cold evening, lying in bed, and just realizing it's 4 o'clock the next morning and you're still reading. What a brilliant experience that is. It's such a gift that a lot of people are missing out on. And thank you for contributing to the world of books.
Yeah, I read usually 60 to 80 books a year. I read many of them while bicycling on my exercise bike. And I'm also like you, I came into the call as you were talking about abundance, and I'm a big believer in the abundance mentality. And I think books have helped me get there.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you can watch the recording and get the section that you missed and catch up on that. And hopefully I'll see you on one of my webinars. I run a few webinars, free webinars, some of them. I
don't know if I've put my thing in the chat, my contact when we were in the break room. I don't know if that shows up here. I can put it in again, and you can send me the information.
I'll ask afterwards. I'll ask Michael. I don't know if you guys would permit me to send you a little quick note on who I am and just the invite to one of my free webinars. I mean, they're free and they're on abundance. All you're going to invest is some of your time. But I love doing these type of talks. I absolutely, my passion in my life is sharing, teaching, and uplifting, bringing transformation to a beautiful world. Sorry, I'm blabbing on you, Michael.
No, it's fine. We've gone completely out of order, but it's okay because that's what we're about here, right? So, I mean, we basically, normally would have this kind of conversation right at the end of the evening. We've still got a little bit of time left. So a little bit of housekeeping for those people that have not been on this before. Unlike many other kind of similar things, we're not going to try to stop Deon from sharing what he does with people or sharing access to his things, right? So we will, that's one of the reasons we have everybody register so that people who are on this call are all reachable. So we can send you whatever we need to send you. Secondly, the group that we have around this, which also if you are not part of, you can get joining by using the email because it has that in the mail. That group is where we will post the recording. So if you want to watch any of the recording, you go to the group to watch it. We keep it there. We used to send it out and it was but it's much simpler. We actually have these as units, learning units inside of that group. And as we accumulate more of these evenings, there'll just be more learning units that people can go back and reference. Janet, who's on this call now, was the first of them. And from there, it just rolls down to Deon until the future. So coming back to the real point, Shell and Madam are two examples, people who just spoke, of the quality of the people on this call, right? So Deon, I want you to understand really importantly, the quality of the people in these think tanks is, Shell has more books than I've ever seen anybody has ever done themselves before, written and been part of. That's incredible. We need to hear more about that, right? Madame is doing her own amazing stuff. At fourth season?
Yeah, I just finished the third season, so fourth season starts next
four
month.
Seasons of 50 shows a season online, right? And I could go on. I mean, Chris Dykes, renowned educator, has spoken a lot on around stuff that Brian Walsh does and stuff like that. So basically the point is you have a lot of brains in the room here, and we have time now for a little bit of feedback from them about what you sent them to do. But then, hopefully not too much feedback because we want to be able to send everybody back into the breakout rooms one more time in different groups, change the groups around, but also maybe you could ask them a question that would help you with your work on this so that people can come and give you some new ideas. So first, just some feedback from people about the breakout rooms. Do you have anything that came up in there that you'd like to share? And Myrna Bronze has something clearly because she's got the big blue hand up. Myrna?
I saw Chris's hand also went up.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. So we discussed a great deal in our breakout room, but predominantly this is something I've studied for the last 10 years. So Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, geez, the names are endless. And especially something like Greg Braden, who mentions what you mentioned visualization, but the key to activating the reticular activation system is in the emotion. Yeah. So you can speak affirmations until you're blue in the face and nothing will shift. But if you picture, so it comes from the Gospel of St. Thomas. That is how old this process is. And he speaks about in that Gospel about being able to feel the emotion. And then that's how you move that actual mountain into the sea or whatever it is that that they mentioned in the Bible. So it's really a fascinating study. If you can get through Joe Dispenza's books on becoming supernatural and how to rewire your brain, it's quite a feat. But Tony Robbins and quite a few of them have quite a few interesting videos online about it, on how to get there quicker. But there's
I've done some of similar types of courses. Obviously, even Robin Banks with his Mind Power, we're friends, we know each other well. So there's been a lot of sharing in that field. There is one area where I do slightly differ with some of the guys on the whole concept of visualization. And that is, and again, I'm just talking from my own experiences here, is that a lot of people use things like vision boards or the create visualizations that are very far into the future. The key, one of the keys, not the key, one of the keys to a great visualization or some kind of a visual stimulant that you want to use, it has to be ideally in a very short, achievable, reachable time frame, which is usually for the human brain no more than about 2 weeks. So when you do a affirmation, when you do a creative visualization, when you do something like that, one of the absolute keys is to keep it as far as possible in the present understanding of the scope of the mind. And that is a 2-week window frame. If you think about your own future, if you think about the next 2 week or 2 weeks, you can sort of formalize and think what you're going to be doing, where you're going to be. And to a certain degree, it feels it's in the present. That's one of the reasons why it stirs the emotion, because it's also in the now. If the emotion is very strong and very peaked and it's too far into the future, it's almost as the brain does not experience it as a full potential reality in the immediate. It's too far into the future, so it disperses it, it diminishes the power of it. So yes, peak emotion, absolutely, because all memory and we are emotional beings. So peak emotion, but as far as possible, keep it in the next 2 week window frame. Then it's even more powerful. So, which means we got to do it repeatedly. That's the one thing a lot of people do. They do a visualization once a year. They think it's going to work. You got to do it every week, every day, ideally.
Yeah, one of the learnings that I had, sorry to hog the system, I'm finished now. One of the learnings
I love it.
I had after all these studies, because after learning all of these techniques and then it not working and then going into spirituality and studying every religion, and I realized there's a fundamental thing they don't teach you. So yes, you wake up in the morning, you adamant, you clear on the words, you visualize the emotion, and then you surrender. They do not tell you that. So you completely surrender to any form of making it happen for yourself. The opportunities land in your lap, and then you take action. So you don't force them. And that was something that I had to learn the hard way after drudging through a lot of the stuff. So I love the topic. And yeah, I love
the topic as well. Do I have 2 minutes to tell give a quick metaphor around it? Michael, permission? Yes, no?
Well, let me ask a question right now. The people on the call, we've normally done this for 90 minutes, but there's been a lot of pressure to suggest that we cut it down to about 45 to 60 minutes. So actually people are here till 90 minutes. If is anybody here in a rush to get off at 8? Raise your hand if you're desperate to get off at 8.
Yeah, I have to leave. I'm sorry. I have a meeting in 15 minutes, but you keep going.
Okay, so Vesna is gonna not finish everything, Deon, because of you, but it's okay. Everybody else is okay. So you have to deal with Vesna and sort that out with her later. Okay.
In the next 2 weeks.
If you've got any questions before you go off, please ask them now.
Okay. Let me just think about it, but I'm just still processing my emotions. No questions.
All right, awesome. Well, I trust you learned something, and hopefully we'll see you soon. I'll see you soon.
I did. Thank you so much.
Well, she's still got some minutes. She's not going yet. She's just saying she's not going to stay till 8:30. So Deon, go ahead with your.
So there's a simplistic story that I usually tell people, and it's about a story of a guy that decides he wants to cross the ocean on a sailboat, small one-man sailboat. So there's a few principles that need to be in place before you can do it. Number one, you've obviously got to build the boat. if you're staying a distance from the ocean, you need to get the boat from where you are, from where you built it, to the ocean. You need to do a skipper's course. You need to learn to sail. You need to learn to be able to, you know, tell direction on the open waters. You need to stock the boat. You need to have a supply of water, some food, some tools, some electronics, some gadgets, some equipment, whatever you need. So there's a process of preparation. And even if everything is prepared, you still need to get the boat out of the harbor into the open waters. But then you get to a point where you raise the sail. And that's the point that I call when the unseen, unknown, non-tangible, non-catchable, non-creatable, magnificent magic starts to appear. We call it the wind. See, we don't push the boat across the oceans ourselves, but we do everything up to a point. And it was mentioned previously, at some stage, we need to surrender. And very often, when it comes to an abundance attitude and an abundance mindset, people desperately want to keep control. They desperately want to be in control. But there is a stage in our lives that if we've done what we need to do up until that point, and we surrender, that magic happens. Now, if you're a spiritual person, you can call it a God. If you're a believer in the universe, powers, I don't really care what you're going to call it or what name you're going to give it. The law and the principle still applies. There are times in our lives when things happen that happen because we have done the homework. There's an old saying, a lot of motivational speakers love, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. Same principle applies. Do the work, put in the seed, and then something happens, something magical. And we don't really have that much control over it. But the secret is, you've got to do your homework. You've got to get that boat built properly. You've got to stock it up. You've got to do the exercise, the effort, the learning, the understanding, get the skipper license, get the boat waterproof, get everything ready, get it out of the harbor, get into the ocean. You've got to raise that sail. So you've got to, if there's action involved, there's labor, there's work, there's preparation involved, then the magic happens. Not the other way around.
Deon, did you say that Chris Dykes wanted to ask something? Chris, did you want to ask or say something?
No, I saw his hand up earlier. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, guys, just two sharings, and maybe it's hijacking the system, but I just thought it would be a great thing to share, considering we were talking about abundance in books. And a little project that I've been running over the last couple of years is where I've been collecting books from schools and secondhand bookshops and that kind of thing, books that people have loved but are no longer using. And we've distributed 50,000 books to over 500,000 people in the last couple of years to facilitate the love of reading. And I just, you know, in the spirit of tonight, I thought it was a cool story to share. And then when you were talking about boats, I thought, well, I need to share with you as well that my mother, at 72 years old, has now been at sea for over almost 3 years, traveling around the world. She's on her way home to Durban. She's about 2 months away from Durban, having left Durban in March 3 years ago. And guys, just to really on the spirit of tonight, and maybe just sharing, because it's abundance is also about sharing ideas. When she was 20 years old, she had the dream to travel around the world. And her father said to her, women don't do these things, they become secretaries or nurses or teachers. And he squashed her dream right there and then. And 50 years later, she is making that dream come alive. And so I'm super proud of who she is, and she's such an inspiration. And just thought it would be a great story to share tonight, based just on abundance. And lastly, planning on, my life is changing a bit. I don't know quite where I'm going to be living in the next couple of months, and tonight's really helped me to just feel a bit more inspired to maybe take the big step and leave Johannesburg and move to Cape Town. Just been a dream that I've been putting off, and it's freaking terrifying. And so tonight's really helped me to really think about this even more seriously than I was. So really cool evening tonight, and hopefully some nice sharing.
Chris, I just want to say one thing. If I have an opportunity to meet your mother, even if it's on a Zoom platform, I would love to. That type of person inspires me, and the more opportunities I have to talk to people like that and learn from them, sit at their feet and just be humbled in their presence, every single time I can get an opportunity like that, I'd love to grab it. So, Michael, I want to make a suggestion. We need to invite his mother on here to come and share her story with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that mindset shift is what I want to hear about.
I think Chris and his mother should come on and do a session together.
I was going to say, why don't you get my mother too, Michael?
Well, that's a different session. That's a whole nother. When you have a camera, we'll think about it. Okay.
She's in the UK. She's got a camera.
Yeah, we want the two of you together, though. But so this is fascinating, right? Because normally we have a structure where we do the thing, and then at the end we all network. So this time we're networking in the middle. Karin wanted to ask a question, and then we still want to get something done for Deon, which is one more breakout room that you can give him some feedback. So guys, I actually love the fact that we're all over the place. And I don't know if you saw that Chris inspired me to bring my puppy into the meeting.
I loved your cat, Chris.
Yeah, he's settled down, cook purring his head off below the computer. So yeah, he's here.
So Karin, did you have a question, or you just wanted to know if there are questions?
I wondered if you're able to speak to how to build trust in a way that supports abundance mindset and creativity between people. Thinking about bringing people together from different entities and how you can kind of create the environment where that trust is more readily established and where people have a shared concept of abundance mindset.
There's the textbook ways of doing it: storming, norming, performing, and mourning. There are some skills in the corporate management and coaching environment, team work, and all kinds of wonderful things that can be done. But again, I don't like teaching the normal stuff. I find the normal stuff boring. I like teaching different out-of-the-box creative stuff, or in the box, I would say. Sorry. So for me, it's a very
out of the box here.
Yeah, for me, it's a very, very simplistic principle. As I said, I teach these concepts for a living, and I'm on these platforms on average 28 days a month, 12 months a year, and I go out with one absolute principle in my head, and that is that every single person I meet, every single person I talk to, every single person on this planet that I have the honor to actually have a conversation with is a phenomenal, amazing, beautiful, genius, magnificent, capable human being. Now, there's a very simplistic concept behind it. There's an old saying that says, if you speak to the king inside of the man, eventually the king will answer you. And I firmly believe it. Again, from personal experience, I applied it in my relationship with my father, who was an extremely abusive man. And it worked. Eventually, the king answered me. So I do believe that people are magnificent. I believe it with every fiber of my being. So when I talk to people, I love talking to the magnificence in them. I love talking to the genius, the creative, the inspiring in them. And if you do it in a group session, then the group responds accordingly. If you look at this, there's some communication models. I don't know the name of it, but it's based on the principle about, and some of you guys are probably better learned at this than what I am, but it's based on the principle of a child, adult, and a parent. So if you talk to someone as if you're a parent and as if they are a child, they are going to respond as if they are a child talking to a parent. So whichever model you use, parent, child, or adult, and talking to the other person, that's the kind of response you're going to get. I think everybody in this group, at some stage, you would have heard about that, and you probably know that. So I'm not going to teach that. So I ask a very simplistic question. Why not just talk from amazing to amazing? Talk from a platform as if you are amazing, as if you are capable, as if you got talents and gifts, and as if you have got a genius part in your brain, which we all do, to the other people as if they have it. And notice what happens, because the conversation then changes. And I believe it's a better conversation. So those of you guys, some of you guys, Michael knows me, Glennis, you've been on some of my classes, I think, yeah. And that's a consistent in my life, and I share it as often as I can. So I hope I answered you, Karin.
So, yeah. so we don't go too long, hit them with a question you would like to know from everybody else. So basically the first question you kind of gave them to reflect on for themselves. I'd like you to give them a question that they can come back with some stuff that you can put into your program, your teachings, your thinking that you can use.
All right. So I'm going to first give you a short background, literally 1 minute, and then I'm going to ask a question. So in my training platform that I talk about abundance, I have 4 key areas where abundance must be manifest in the average person's life. It's love, joy, health, and wealth. Those are the 4 key areas. Most other areas and values in life sort of fit into most of them. Even, you can take spirituality, you can bring it in. If you connect joy and spirituality, it's a beautiful connection. Paul wrote a lot about that. He really enjoyed it. So the 4 main areas, I would say, I'm just going to repeat them quickly, is love, joy, health, and wealth. So here's my challenge and my question to you guys. Which one is not there? Which one is not there? In other words, if you had to add a 5th wheel to this motor vehicle, because a motor vehicle uses 4 tires, right? Drives on 4 wheels normally. So I've got 4 wheels on the abundance vehicle. But if I had to add a spare tire into the vehicle, what would you call it? So what would you add to love, joy, health, and wealth?
Alrighty, are we ready? Here we go. And, oops, hold on.
What a question.
It's a good question, all right?
Awesome one, awesome.
Here we go. Go enjoy.
You guys are a smart group, so it's got to be an awesome question for you guys. You want to pause the Facebook Live, Michael?
Can't really pause it. That's the problem. If you pause it,
Your name was just. But your name triggered. I grew up in Durbanville. I went to Durbanville High. I did matric in 1980, and somehow my brain said, "I know you from school days or in our early days of youth. Maybe we got drunk one night. I don't know."
Okay, so I'm going to cut that conversation. You guys can have that on your own. We love Floris here. He's here almost every time, and he brings a lot of, well, the most innovative country in the world is Switzerland, apparently, according to Gase, what's his name? Unheisten, whatever. And so Floris is sitting in the middle of that, so we're very honored to have him. But we've got almost no time left until the longest possible time, which I keep getting told is too long. So we need to speed up. So answers, please, people. Answers for Deon. What is the 5th thing? Just speak up and say it one by one. What is the 5th area for you?
Fulfillment from our group.
Fulfillment.
Hope.
Connection.
The previous one after fulfillment, someone said something?
Oh,
Connection.
sorry. I said hope.
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 Yeah.
And part of our fulfillment was internal self-purpose or internal purpose.
Inner purpose, yeah.
How do you type in this stuff? Because this is the part we really need typed here.
Yeah.
I'm typing it for you, don't worry.
All right.
We also talked about confidence and like a state of liminal understanding, like where you would be in the future, what your possibility would be in a COVID world. No one knows what's going to happen, and we used to be able to anticipate, what your parallel life might be 6 months from now, and we don't. The whole world is experiencing a shift in that.
Oh, I like it.
We also had trust.
What?
Trust.
Trust, okay.
Like it.
And creativity.
I was waiting for that one to come through.
You mean there is a right answer?
There is technically no right answer. There are better answers than others.
But all of those are great. No?
Yeah, love it.
We also got serenity and faith. We had a lot. And integrity. and trust. Yeah.
We have peace.
Ah, good. Good. Can I give you one?
Go ahead.
One of my favorite words, bliss.
Love it.
Yes.
I mentioned that when we were talking. That
What is bliss? Bliss is when you wake up in the morning and you realize that the challenge of yesterday has been achieved today. Bliss.
Perfect happiness.
Well, isn't that? What's the difference? Is it? Sorry, Michael.
Are we heading into a whole new topic again?
No, I was just going to ask, what's the difference between joy?
Oh, no, we're not going there tonight.
I'm not going there.
Not going there tonight. That's a preview of if you go do his webinars, a full like 2-hour thing of all of this. But yeah, because that's a whole topic now.
Yeah. Bliss is higher than joy, but anyway, moving along.
Say again?
Bliss is higher than joy on the emotions.
Bliss is higher than joy. Okay. Yeah. I think Deon implied that by, the word sounds like bliss. Just beautiful, isn't it? Are there any other things that anybody else would like to share from your groups that might help Deon with his work, or anything else you'd like to share?
Can I just add one thing quickly? It's just an explanation, difference between joy and bliss. Joy is a state, actually. A lot of people think it's a result. It's not. It's a state. It's a decision of the will that you make manifest in your life. Bliss is a result. Bliss is usually a reaction of certain things. You can have bliss because of love. You can have just bliss because of joy. Bliss is a result, where joy is a state, an active state. Very, very simple explanation.
Yes, love it.
It looks to me as bliss is almost close to or synonymous with peace.
Peace.
We actually choose peace in our session, and
peace.
Okay. Maybe I can add one more. Contentment.
Contentment. Yeah. Contentment, peace, and bliss are part of the same family. Their parents come from the same place.
So Deon, I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Yes, sir.
If you look at that list that Madame has so kindly typed for us.
Yes.
If you had to pick one to add as the 5th in your course,
all right,
which one would it be?
Probably my own one, but let me look at the list quickly.
Right. So taking bliss off the list, which one would it be?
I'm probably going to choose hope, and I'll justify the. I know I'm in a creativity course, but I'll justify why I'm use the word hope. I love hope. I love the principle of hope, and the reason I love it is because hope is not a thing. Hope is the foundation on which dreams are built. That's hope. Hope is usually a mindset. You know, when an architect wants to design a great building, he first needs hope, and then the creative juices starts flowing, and then he gets ideas and he starts putting them on paper. When you write a book, you've got an idea in your head and hope. So for me, hope is the foundation of building something magnificent, and I love installing and hope. I believe it's a great platform for people to operate from. That's my interpretation of the word hope, and that's probably why I love it, because hope, you know, if you talk to people that have got an abundance mindset, one of the character traits you'll find is they speak hope language.
Myrna would like to say something. I can see it's
very
burning.
Interesting that you mentioned the architect, because in The Matrix, the movie, the architect gives you a definition of hope. And he actually says hope is the quintessential human emotion, responsible for our greatest strengths, also our greatest weaknesses. So he mentions that to be the emotion that drives most positives and negatives. It can go either way. But your word,
love it. Now I've got to go watch The Matrix again. Oh, man. for the 723th times.
Yeah.
It's so funny that she actually remembered exactly what he said.
No. You verbalized it. I must be honest. I remember a lot of statements made in the movie Alice in Wonderland. A lot of people giggle at it. But if you go watch the movie, there are some profound statements made in the movie with such deep philosophy and psychological meanings behind it. So it's brilliant, brilliant.
All that LSD, yeah.
Metaphors are magnificent.
You know, we didn't know until very recently that the Matrix was actually a metaphor for gender transfer, gender process. They've told us that now. The sisters who were the brothers have said that's what it was really about.
So what?
That the Matrix is actually a metaphor for the gender change process that they've gone through since the movie. Yeah, that's what they wrote it about, actually. That's what they said.
Okay. After 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1, 2, or 3.
4 is coming.
Okay.
The Matrix 4 is coming. It's coming. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say? Share, talk about anything, just a 1-minute sting about something that's coming up you'd like us to know about, anything like that?
Chris.
Okay.
I'll put something on the table that for me was just really interesting about hope. And it's something that's been quite close to some of the discussions in my own personal learnings recently. And it's sort of linked to Viktor Frankl thinking, where he talks about vision being the man cannot survive but for the future. But the other side of the hope is where after 1945, there were many people that committed suicide because they were hoping that the war was going to come to an end. And when it didn't, they gave up hope and then obviously took their lives. And so in the context of hope, I think it's really important to take it into the principle of empowerment of self, and as opposed to deferring into an external circumstance.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the word hope for me has got some very profound meaning, and it's nice to acknowledge both the light shadow and the dark shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've replaced the word hope actually in most of my training with the word true driver. So hope to me, hope is the foundation, but hope very often is an emotional state. So there's usually an emotion attached to what you're hoping for. And so if you take someone that starts a business, let me just, Michael, please don't fight with me here. If you take someone that starts a business, what a lot of people do is they look at someone else and they see this person has got a beautiful house, beautiful partner, he's got a boat, he lives a happy lifestyle, lots of money in the bank, and then they hope to achieve that. And then they start a business. And the main reason is because they confuse the external. And you spot on there, Chris. They look at the external and they think that's what's going to give it to them. So what I like doing is I like actually challenging those decisions. And I usually ask them, okay, well, what will the outcome be? What will the benefit be? And they give you an answer. And what's the reason behind that? And what's the reason behind that? And what's the reason behind that? So I take it a couple of steps back to get to the core, what I call the core driver, the main driver, which is a very pure emotion. And that emotion linked with hope is projected into the future. And I call it the true driver because that's what's the driving force behind a lot of people's success and achievements and behaviors. So I absolutely agree. It's got to be internal, can't be external. And it's got to be recognized as an emotion. But the more clearly you are defined about what creates it in you, the more opportunities you have of achieving it. If that makes, I'm taking a massive concept and trying to push it into 2 minutes. Yes, so I hope you guys click get that one. I trust you.
So yeah, the other thing, guys, is again for those of you who either haven't been here before or haven't been here for a while, we've now set up that Facebook group to allow this conversation to keep going with the same people who are here. So if you want to add more thoughts, including Deon, if you want to go, hey, I thought of something about what we talked about, it'll be posted in the units. This will be number 5. So the recording is going to be there, but also if you want to respond on comments about any of this stuff you thought about. And I'm going to ask you guys, if you don't mind, to take on a very small homework assignment and come back with a comment in that group, if you can, which is that list there that we have on the of the 5th thing. Which of those would you choose? And maybe it's different than the one you actually chose in the group you just had after thinking about it. Which one would you choose? And what can you cause around shifting into an abundance experience in that area in the next week? And if please then comment in the group and tell us what it is and how that went. Can you guys take that on? Is anybody here? Anybody here turning that request down? Anybody?
Not turning it down.
Fantastic. So that's what we're going to see in the group there. Just a simple comment, what you chose and how it went. And you can find Deon's recording there. You can find each other in the group and talk to each other. Whole idea of that group is to create engagement, create a place where this think tank thing can exist outside of this 1 or 1.5 hours that we are on it. I want to thank Deon. We got 2 minutes left, basically. Is there any last words, Deon, that you'd like to leave us with? Look, anything about linking to your stuff, I'll send that out in the mail before Monday. It'll also be on the group. So don't worry too much about getting data around. We can do that. Anything you'd like to
I'll post a little video on the group, about a 30-minute video just talking around abundance. It's just to get a little bit more of a mindset around it. It's a fast track video with a huge amount of information, but it gives you some kind of a sense of what it is. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in some of the groups in the future. That'll be awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
It was lovely meeting you.
That was great.
Thank you, guys. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Deon.
Thank you.
I want to thank
everybody.
I want to thank everybody one last time to say you guys are awesome. This is really a great group, and we just love it. Bring a friend next week.
Michael, somebody wants you to type the Facebook link for them so that they can go join.
Okay, I'll do that. We'll do that now before I go.
Thank you, Deon.
However, if you only join the Facebook group,
you guys are typing.
If you only join the Facebook group and you don't register, you won't get updates in your mail about the events. So make sure to register on the registration page, which is on the Facebook group. It tells you so.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice.
I'll see you guys on these groups again.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Cheers.